Hi and welcome to our program. Today we have Elise Andrew here in the studio, the current chairperson of Foodsharing Aarhus. She's here today to tell us about the organization, food waste, and how we can fight it. Hi Elise, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's get to know you a little bit better before. So where are you from?
I come from the US and I moved to Denmark last year in August.
Okay, but you lived also somewhere else before that.
Yeah, I lived in Vienna, Austria. I studied there. I studied socio-ecological economics and policy. It's a super long title. Yeah. And then, when I was younger, I also lived in Vienna and in Israel and Berlin.
A lot of places.
Yeah.
And why did you move to Denmark?
Well, my partner's Danish, so that's why. I honestly probably never would have thought of Denmark if not for meeting him, so yeah.
And you're thinking about staying here?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe at least for the next 5 years or so.
So you're related to the concept of food sharing that started in Copenhagen, and then it was later adapted here in Aarhus. But what is food sharing?
Food sharing is an organization that shares food. So we pick up food that's going to be thrown away at a supermarket and then share it in a common fridge. So everyone has access to it. Everyone in the community has access to it. And that's like the fundament of what we do. And then on top of all that, we do other kind of activities and events that try to either spread awareness about food waste, or just, fun activities like making kombucha, for example, that we just did, to kind of, start a dialogue about our relationship with food.
Mm-hmm. So it's mostly about food waste and raising awareness about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you hear about this movement? How did you get involved with it?
Well, I heard about food sharing when I lived in Vienna, because there's food sharing in Vienna that I wasn't part of. I was too busy. And then it had originally started in Germany. And then, so I had kind of heard about it as a concept. And then in Aarhus, after I moved here, I joined Mellemfolkeligt Samvirke, this volunteer organization. And so I was volunteering with them. I think one day I was making some poster for a protest or something, and Food Sharing was having a meeting. And then they came out and they were like, "We have a ton of food, please come and take it." So I was like, and took some food and then started talking to some of the people there, trying to figure out, okay, what is it you do? How do you operate? And then kind of weaseled my way in as a volunteer, and then over the past year, got more and more involved.
And now you're the chairperson of the organization. Did you feel a need for a movement like this in your community? Because you mentioned that you were already in contact with this before. So did you feel the need here, specifically in Aarhus?
Specifically in Aarhus, I mean, there's a need everywhere for a reduction of food waste, especially in higher income countries and upper middle income countries that are particularly wasteful in kind of all regards, but also with regards to food waste. I had been aware of the issue of food waste, but I've recently done a little bit more research into the specific numbers of how much food is actually wasted, and you keep hearing this 1/3 statistic about us wasting 1/3 of food worldwide, and with almost 1 billion people starving. It makes no sense that we are wasting so much food, because actually we're wasting more food than is needed to feed all of those people that are starving. And Denmark is actually one of the worst countries in the world with regards to food waste. There was recently a report, actually the latest figures show that Denmark wasted, I think last year or 2019, 814,000 tons of food in 1 year. And that's edible food that, could very well have been eaten by humans, the people. And so, in terms of food waste in Denmark, there's a long way to go.
Yeah. And most of this food is coming from supermarkets, correct?
Most of the food waste?
Yes, like because there's a lot of edible food that ends up. Of course, it's also in the households, but the supermarkets. That's kind of what Foodsharing is trying to fight against, right?
So actually, that's a common misconception that most of the food waste comes from supermarkets or restaurants, because actually roughly 42% of the food waste comes from production and manufacturing, but then actually 30% of food waste in Denmark, I'm talking about Denmark, comes from the house. And actually that's a third of the food waste that actually happens in the household. But a lot of food waste, of course, comes from supermarkets, and that is what we address by trying to pick up, not trying to, but we do pick up food from the supermarket and share that food. But then we also can reduce household waste by providing this free fridge, because people, if I'm going on vacation, for example, I can bring my food to the free fridge and write a little note saying, I'm going on vacation, please take this. But for the most part, most of the food comes from supermarkets in the fridge.
And about the supermarkets, how was it to talk to supermarkets and trying to get them on board with your project?
So I came about half a year later, after it had been founded by Lena and Geraldine, and they had already done all the scoping out and was talking to supermarkets, and we landed this one deal with a Rema near Kustbanen, and I have since tried once to get one supermarket on board, but it seems to be kind of the common response that I'm not allowed to do that. Like if we talk to a manager, they say, I'm not allowed to do that, I'll get in trouble, I'll lose my job. And so, unfortunately, I think what it boils down to is two things. One is this hierarchical management, because when I talk to, the manager of this store, they have people to answer to above them, and they don't want to risk losing their job, and they also don't know what is legal and what's not legal, so it's safer to say And then at the same time, it's also easier because it's just extra. It's not even that much extra work, but it is extra work for the supermarkets to have an agreement with Foodsharing, even though it's this amount of extra work and this amount of food that would be saved. It's what it boils down to is, if I'm a supermarket, am I making profit? Yes. Okay, then doesn't matter what else, how much food we waste, because it's not an issue for my business.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
That is.
Yeah.
Do you think this food waste problem is one of the reasons why dumpster diving is so popular in Denmark?
Yes.
Did you dumpster dive?
I dumpster dive all the time. Yeah. I mean, I think comparatively to other countries I've lived in, I can only speak from my experience. I don't know the data, but I at least know that it's been easier for me to dumpster dive here because some supermarkets, and I know which ones, unlock their dumpsters, and if it's unlocked, then it's legal. It's kind of like this weird, like, yeah, it's kind of like illegal, like, yeah, if it's locked, then you can't, but if it's unlocked, you can, and it's kind of this weird in-between place. You never really know. I never really know if I'm breaking the law, but I at least know which places to go to, and for sure it's popular here, but I think it would be popular everywhere if it was just easier. My wish is that it wouldn't be necessary at all, because why is it going to the dumpster in the first place? It shouldn't. Yeah, you can see documentaries and pictures and videos of people who go dumpster diving and find the craziest stuff. Yeah, definitely. And it's really sad, but hopefully one day there won't be such a need for dumpster diving. But it blows my mind that supermarkets go so far to make it inaccessible for people. Because I'm like, like if you're throwing it away, it's trash. It doesn't harm you if if it benefits someone else. Exactly. I think the problem is sometimes people will make a little bit of a mess, and it's just like it takes one person for a supermarket to be like, no more. Yeah, we're locking it. Yeah. So. And also bakeries that sometimes they put water. Yes, yeah, it's crazy. In the bag with the food, that's super good to eat. And chemicals too. Yeah. I've heard of that happening, and I'm like, you're willing to like put people's health at risk and like with the chemicals, just to avoid like a mess that you might have to clean up. So, it's crazy. It is. And how do you think food sharing is making a difference in this? Unfortunately, we don't have like data. We haven't been recording like how much food we save. But I mean, I know personally and from other people who use the fridge regularly, it makes a huge difference. I mean, not only do you save food and you save money, but I think what is even more meaningful is just the symbol of having a free fridge and kind of challenging the concept of food as a common good that actually should be common. Exactly. And unfortunately, like our food is like we rely so much on the market to get our food, and oftentimes that doesn't work out for us, and especially not for like poorer individuals. So what I find so powerful in what we have as a really, really small organization that has, not so many volunteers, and has, one fridge and one deal with one supermarket. What is actually so powerful about what we have is we are an illustration that like alternatives can exist, and alternatives can be built by the people on the ground, and we also don't have to of course we should pressure our policymakers to make more sound legislation on food waste, but we can also do something about it. We can also take matters into our own hands and take the cargo bike ourselves, wake up at 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday to pick up some food, and it means something. Like that collective action means something. Okay, so food can be used as an activism tool. Yes, and I also think there's something really powerful in sharing food too and cooking together, because there's something about like creating something, and especially creating something from what is waste, like what would be considered already waste. So we have these, every second and fourth Sunday, we have what we call Foodsharing Sunday, and we do an extra pickup, and then we spend the whole day cooking together, and then open the event to the public for a donation-based dinner, and it's always vegan. While we're cooking, we're having conversations about food, and it's always a place to meet around. I mean, you see this across cultures all over the world. Like, food is an essential part of society and what it means to be a human in this life. And I mean, we don't just need it to survive, because we do, but we also use it to like connect with people, and it's a place to meet. Like,
it's social.
Yeah. And in that way, it can become an activism tool, because it can help us feel more connected, and that's a really important part of any kind of activism.
Exactly. And do you have any tips for people who want to fight food waste, except going to... Exactly.
I would say that... I would say to be really conscious of the food waste in your own home, obviously. I think it's really easy to point to the system and say the system is broken, which it is. Food waste is a product of the system, which it is. But we're just products of the system, and we can't do anything to change it. And actually, we are all very much part of the problem. And we also need to look inwards too, and scrutinize our own use of food and our own food waste. And then also just make the effort to learn how to reduce food waste using certain methods. Like, I don't know, just learning that, if you want to see if an egg is good, you put it in a glass of water, and if it sinks, then it's good to use. Like, these kind of little tricks, instead of, just going by expiration date, which is, that's a product of capitalism, but you can also try to change it on a personal level. That being said, I also want to say that, those personal changes can also be made possible through collective action. So, I can reduce my food waste by using the free fridge, but the free fridge is a part of a collective action. So, I'm not saying that it's all about you. You have to take all of the responsibility. Take responsibility for sure, but also take part in collective action that makes individual action possible.
And have you thought about a more educational approach? Like, I know that sometimes you have talks and everything, but have you thought about expanding it? Like maybe going to schools to raise awareness, something like this? Have you considered this approach?
I haven't thought about going to schools. That's a great idea. Yes. Short answer, yes. We're thinking about how can we disseminate this kind of knowledge. And so we're actually working on making a kind of like food sharing booklet on ways to reduce food waste in your own home. Like, how to use the leaves of a cauliflower. What's a nice recipe for that?
That's a really nice idea.
Yeah, or little things on like how to tell when a food has gone bad, or just little tips and tricks. And then, of course, making it look all pretty. So we're hoping to get that out maybe sometime in the beginning of next year.
That's soon already.
Yeah. I mean, we already have some material because we were making posts on the Facebook page about how to use this and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are also thinking about doing more like movie screenings and
Discussions and this type of things?
Discussions, yeah. We've been having more discussions about like how food waste and climate change are related. Yeah, that's something that we've done recently for the climate justice days. Yeah, because they're climate action days and climate justice days, right? Yeah, for climate justice days.
And everything is voluntary based, right? Like,
yeah.
So how many volunteers do you have right now, approximately?
Active volunteers, I would say maybe 12. Give or take.
Okay.
And we're looking for more volunteers always.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's a bit hard to get to the people? It's hard to recruit or something for some reason?
Yes, it is because of like the pickup times, for example. They're in the morning, and but in fact, I think it's because we haven't spent so much time recruiting people, and the process was kind of a little bit all over the place, but now it's more streamlined, and we have a survey that people fill out, and one person in charge of contacting those people. So we're working on that.
Okay.
But yeah, for the moment, it's a little bit difficult making sure that every pickup is made with at least 2 people, but we're getting there. I'm confident that we will make it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And about support, do you have any type of partnerships or financing or something like this?
Well, I know that it was started with the Erasmus Plus funding. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. So basically, we don't have any funding right now, and we are relying on the infrastructure of Mellemfolkeligt Samvirke, which we're a member of. And so they let us keep our fridge there. We use their electricity. We use their cargo bike. We use their kitchen for the Foodsharing Sundays. So they've been really nice. But the idea is to get some funding soon, because there's several things, like, for example, just printing the booklet that I talked about earlier. That costs a lot of money, like that, we just don't have if we don't get funding. But the problem is that
it's never smooth and easy.
No, the problem is that I have gotten some answers back saying, well, we have WeFood and we have Too Good To Go, so.
Yeah, from supermarkets.
Yeah, so people have replied saying we can't give you funding because basically the problem is already solved.
Yeah.
And it's just not. I mean, I want to say, can I take you with me on my next pickup shift so you can see how much is being thrown away? I can't do that though, but I could just ask nicely some more. So hopefully we get some funding soon. We keep pushing through. We keep trying.
Yes. What does the future hold for Foodsharing? Any other news besides the booklet?
Oh, we always have events going on, so you can always check out our events page on Facebook. That's where we always have them. And yeah, coming up, we'll be doing some activity with a refugee camp. Details of that yet to come. But like,
We'll be waiting.
but like, long-term goals of Foodsharing would be to help other communities in Denmark, but also elsewhere, to start more free fridges. So this is something I've been thinking a lot about. I would like to collect all of this information about how, like, the legalities of making a free fridge in Denmark, and then steps on how to do so, and like what to look out for, challenges that you might face, blah blah blah, and then making that information accessible to anyone who might be interested in starting a free fridge. Because to my knowledge, there isn't one yet. But it would be nice to have that accessible and in English too. Because a lot of basically all of our volunteers are internationals. And then long term, like my vision for food sharing in the way far out future is that there actually isn't a need for us anymore. Because right now I kind of use this metaphor of like there's this big giant machine and it's like making a bunch of smoke and throwing out trash and eating up resources, and then we're kind of behind it, like sweeping up the mess and trying to make it better. But the problem is the machine itself. And right now, we're just throwing out way too much food that shouldn't be thrown out in the first place. And maybe we should start talking about making that illegal. I know that has been done in some places, like in France. And that should be explored. And then also just like changing this culture of needing everything right away, this very consumeristic culture of I want avocados because I like avocados, so give me avocados. And give me pretty ones that are wrapped in plastic. And the problem is just that we're so used to getting everything that we want right away, even if it's from a faraway country or wrapped in plastic or out of season. And it has to be pretty. It has to look perfect. And there's this initiative, Eat Ugly, I think it's translated in English, where like
ugly fruit, ugly vegetables,
exactly,
things. It's thrown all away, and it's perfectly edible.
It's crazy how much is just thrown away because maybe the carrot doesn't go like this, but it goes like this. So it's also about changing the system. It is also about changing the culture and our relationship with food. And so in the future, I just hope we don't have to exist.
But it would have to take a long time.
Yeah. Or at least maybe not so much was being thrown out. That we would have to come maybe every day instead of just twice a week. Because when we come once, we fill up an entire fridge.
Yeah, you were mentioning that sometimes you don't even have space for so much food from one pickup from one supermarket.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. We need a truck for this.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And on a final note, what would you say that it's your favorite thing about food sharing?
Good question.
You can say more than one thing if you want to. I'm sure there's a lot.
Okay, well, I'll just start with one thing, which is the community that we've kind of built. And it's this community that's based off of a system of trust, and working together, and all towards like the common goal of reducing food waste. And in that way, I've met so many people who are just so cool and so dedicated to fighting this ridiculous thing called food waste, and who actually problematize it, who don't see it as just part of life, but actually just like any other environmental degradation, like littering or something.
Sorry to interrupt, Elise.
No, it's okay.
We just ran out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of this with us.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching us. Until next time.